Welcome back, grade 9 science students. We are still in our lesson Living Things and Their Environment, but we are now in explaining the different patterns of non-Mendelian inheritance, week 2 or module 2 of this lesson. We are in part 1 of this lesson. But before we go on, let us first screenshot, copy, and familiarize the important words and their meanings. Here, this is the bird's eye view of the lesson. When you were in grade 8, you study about Mendelian forms of inheritance. But in grade 9, our focus is about non-Mendelian inheritance. We have incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple alleles. In terms of inheritance, this means that we acquire the genetic information of our parents. The color of our skin, the color of our eyes, the shape of our nose, all of them is inherited from our parents. We inherit their genetic information. Okay, that is the thing we call inheritance. But before we discuss about non-Mendelian forms of inheritance, let us first understand these prerequisite words. These words are very important because this will be used throughout as we go on with this lesson about non-Mendelian forms of inheritance. So in this part 1 of the lesson, we are going to understand all of this lesson. In this picture, we see that there are variety of skin colors. We have light color skin, we have dark skin, we have brown skin. All of these are example of traits or characteristics unique to every individual. This individual has a light skin trait. This individual also has a dark skin trait, and this individual has a brown skin trait. Then we see their observable characteristics. When we look at them, when we look at this person, we see that their skin with their different colors. Now, the observable characteristics or the observable traits is called phenotype. The observable traits is called phenotype. The color of their skin, the color of their eyes, the shape of their nose, all of them. All the things that we can see by our own eyes, we observe their characteristics, their outward appearance is called phenotype. Now, there must be something that controls this phenotype. There must be a factor that controls this phenotype, in the sense that these phenotypes are just a symbol of what lies within. No, there must be a reason. Why is it that this skin color is light, this skin color is dark? Okay, the reason is that this phenotype are controlled by genes. Okay, this phenotype are controlled by genes. The genes are the reason why the light skin color or the dark skin color appears in an individual, because this is controlled by the gene. Now, where can we locate these genes inside our body? Where can these genes maybe found out? Okay, genes are located inside chromosomes. Okay, genes are located, we can see genes inside chromosomes, and chromosomes are found inside the nucleus of a cell, because cell is what make up human body. Human body are made up of cells anyway, millions of cells, and inside the cells, inside the nucleus of a cell, are chromosomes. Here, these are the example of chromosomes. When we pick up one chromosome, all we can see is this. This is our chromosome. This is the real view of a chromosome under electron microscope. A very amazing picture of electron microscope, our chromosome. Here, this is the human karyotype. We humans have 46 chromosomes. 23 of it came from our mother, and 23 came from our father. We have 23 pairs of chromosomes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. The 23rd pair of chromosome tells us the sex chromosomes. This is the sex chromosomes that identifies whether it is a male if it is XY and a female if it is XX. But the first up to the 22nd pair is known as the autosomes or the somatic chromosomes. Here from 1 up to 22 are the somatic chromosomes. Now, that being said, genes are located inside the chromosomes because the real thing is that genes, when condensed together, when we tightly coiled genes together, they form chromosomes because chromosomes are just made up of condensed genes. Now, genes are located in a specific area of a chromosome. There must be a specific area inside the chromosomes for genes to be located. Okay? Now, this is our chromosome. This is one of the 23 pairs of chromosomes. This chromosome here is the chromosome contributed by our mother, and this chromosome here is the chromosome contributed by our father. As you can see in the picture, chromosomes is each place inside the chromosome is colored. Now, the colored ones are the genes. These are the place of genes. The two here represents the place of each gene. Now, this gene here represents eye color. This gene here, the red one, indicates or represents the gene for blood type. This gene here, represents for hair color. And the remaining one, these genes here, is the gene for growth. Every factor in our body is controlled by genes. Alright? Now here, as you can see, the different forms of genes. Now, genes is made up of two factors. These factors are called alleles. This allele is contributed by our mother, and this allele here is contributed by our father. The two alleles from our mother and father controls the eye color genes. And another for growth. We have here allele for growth and another allele for growth. They become one gene pair for growth. Okay? They become one gene pair for growth. They control the growth. The two alleles are coming from our parents. Now, please indicate that gene are found inside the chromosome, and then genes are made up of two alleles coming from our both parents. Now, alleles are represented by letters because these are alleles. One allele, another allele, 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 allele. The two alleles make up one gene. Now, alleles are represented by colors. To make the concept simple, we use letters to represent alleles, just like this. This is the gene for, let us assume that this is the gene for hair color. Then, the allele for gene color is R and another R. Another pair of alleles is P and another P. Another pair of allele, A and A. And another pair of alleles, C and big C. Okay, these are the combination of alleles. Again, these are the combination of alleles. Combination of alleles. Let's try to write it again. Small letter R, small letter R. Big letter P, big letter P. Big letter A, big letter A. Lowercase letter B, lowercase letter B, or small letter B. Small letter C, big letter C. These are called genotypes. Now, pair of alleles make up one gene. When we write alleles, we represent letters, and these letters are now called genotypes because we write genotype according to pair of alleles, according to letters. So, when we are asked to write the genotype, we use letters. For example, the genotype for the gene that controls the skin color. So we write A, the two alleles, no? One allele to another allele. This is the genotype for the gene that controls hair color and so on and so forth. So for example here, the genotype R, genotype big letter P, then the genotype small c big letter C. But normally and typically, the big letter comes first, then followed by the small letter. In that case, if we write the genotype of every character or trait, we must see to it that we must take note of the dominant allele and the recessive allele. Why? Because a while ago, we learned that these are the two alleles. Allele 1, allele 2. Allele 1, allele 2. Then, there is a recessive allele and there is also a dominant allele. Now, in this picture, I am going to show you what is the dominant and what is recessive allele. Okay? Here, the violet flower is being crossed with white flower. The resulting offspring, here the offspring, when we say offspring, the children or another individual that came from the two parents, okay? The offspring displays the violet color. And there you see that the color violet is what appears in the offspring. And the color violet is represented by two big letter R. So in this case, the dominant, because when we say dominant, it must appear in the offspring. Again, when we say dominant, the character of the dominant trait is what appears in the offspring. In this case, violet appears in the offspring, and it is supported by the genotype big letter R, big letter R. So, it needs one or two dominant alleles for it to occur. So in this case, the offspring is displaying the violet color because the violet color is represented by the dominant allele. So meaning to say, the violet color is the dominant color over white color. Why? Because this appears in the offspring and it is represented by big letter R. Again, it is represented by big letter R. Now, what about the recessive one? The recessive allele is represented by lowercase letters. In this example, we use two letter R, small letter R. Why it is recessive? Because the phenotype of this genotype is white. And we see that the offspring did not display white color because in this case, white is the recessive trait. It is represented by letter R, small letter R. So, that being said, recessive will not appear in the offspring. The offspring will not express the recessive trait, only the dominant trait that is represented by letter R. So, another example is this. The dark color of this butterfly is represented by the genotype A, big letter A and big letter A, homozygous dominant. Both of the alleles are dominant because it is represented by capital letters. And when we say dominant, it will express in the offspring. Now, in this case, the second butterfly is also dark because the genotype is big letter A, small letter A. So, please remember that it takes only the presence of at least one dominant allele for the phenotype to occur. So in this case, the being dark is the dominant, and it is represented by big letter A. And this genotype here has the presence of big letter A, dominant letter A. So this is the reason why this butterfly colors or appears to be dark. But in the third butterfly, we can see that the color is white. Why? Why is it that the color is white? This is because for a recessive trait to occur, the genotype must containing both the recessive allele, no? In the absence of the dominant allele, which is the capital letter, this takes the chance to take the recessive trait, which is light in color. So if it is all recessive alleles are displayed, meaning to say the recessive allele will be expressed in the offspring. Okay, so far so good. We have already understand dominant, recessive. Now when we say homozygous, these are just example of homozygous. Homozygous meaning to say they are the same. Or this one, homozygous. But if it is heterozygous, it must containing different alleles, big letter R and small letter R. Okay? Homozygous dominant. When we say homozygous dominant, it will have the two letter A capital letters. Homozygous recessive, two small letters. Heterozygous, big and small different. Okay? Now, let us also understand homozygote and heterozygote. When we say homozygote and heterozygote, this means this refers to an individual. When we say homozygote individual, this refers to an individual having the same alleles in their genotype. We have the same, so homozygote, an individual that has the same alleles, that has homogeneous genotype. But when we say heterozygote, this refers to an individual that has heterozygous genotype. Okay? Homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, homozygote, and heterozygote. Okay, I hope you understand the explanation of the different words we have this morning to be the required words in discussing non-Mendelian forms of inheritance. So I hope you understand from our explanation this day. This lesson will lead you to learn part 2 of this lesson. But before that, I need to give thanks to this website who provide me with meanings of different words, and as well as these links who provide me with pictures that I use in this video. Thank you so much and have a nice day. See you in part 2 of this lesson.